Thanks for joining us, ladies and gentlemen. So this is Hammer Shocks. So this is the controversial opinion show where we have West Ham fans bringing in their thoughts, their opinions that might be viewed as a little bit off the wall, a little bit controversial. So joining me today, my usual co-pilot, Mr. Duke. How are you, sir?
Very well, sir. Pub is incredibly quiet. I think I've got about 3 tables currently sat in the garden. So I thought I'll come on for my first hammer shot. So see what all the uproar is about.
Yeah, this is your first one, isn't it? Yeah, I forgot
Is
about that.
indeed.
So there you go, making his debut. So we've got a few guys in the green room, a few contributors. We'll bring this guy in first because this was largely his idea. West Ham Online, sir. How are you?
Very well. I'm doing very well.
Good man yourself. Always good. Also in the green room, all the way from the Emerald Isle, we have Irish Tommy. How are you, sir?
Not too bad, gents. Good evening. How are we?
Doing all right, mate. Doing all good. Mind you, your pub's a bit empty, isn't it, Duke? You were just saying.
Yeah, well, it's still not being funny, mate. It's bloody freezing out there. I've been standing in the doorway of the pub, bringing people in for most of the day, and it is absolutely bone chillingly cold out there. So you know what? I don't blame people for not wanting to come out and sit in the garden where there's no heaters. So yeah, fair play. But no, listen, it is what it is.
Scott, that's really unfair. I'm usually quite punctual. Come on, give me a break. And Steve's in the building as well. How you doing, Steve? And Mandy's also joined us. How you doing, Mandy? Hope you're well. Also from the across the Irish Sea, we got Cahill. How are you, sir?
Evening, lads. Doing well yourselves?
Yeah, not bad, not bad. Always good, always good. Little bit further afield, in sunny Canada. Well, it might not be so sunny. He'll tell me in a minute. James from the Anvil. How are you, sir?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. It's not sunny for the record.
It's not.
No, it's like
that's
a bit chilly.
That's no good. Not good. Also, we've got regular contributor, Mr. Andy Miles. How are you, sir? Are you on mute again? He is, isn't he? Come on, Milesy, sort it out.
Oh, still not working.
We have technical difficulties with Miles. It's all right. He'll sort it out. Don't worry. I'll come back to you, mate. Last but not least, Mr. James Fatboy Fever. How are you, sir?
Yeah, all good, mate. All good. Wonderful.
Sweet.
You know what I mean? Free Ben Rama. That's what I'm going to say.
Don't stop.
We might get to that. So, gentlemen, you've obviously had a little look at some of the thoughts and opinions of the guys on Instagram for West Ham Online. And we will start with West Ham Online. So, West Ham Online, there was something that you wished to discuss that was brought to your attention. What did you want to go for, mate?
Yeah, there was that Watford fan. I don't know if you've got the screenshot, Gatesy. I don't have it on me at the moment, but I did send it to you. I'm pretty sure he said Souček is the third best defensive midfielder in the league.
Let me just see if I can find it. No, not that one. Not that one. It'll be...
There we go.
That one.
1881 _ Watford _ FC. If you're watching, Souček is the best CDM in the world. Sorry, behind Kante and Kimmich. I'll start. I personally disagree with this. I would say it's quite unpopular because although I do rate Souček, I can think of a few defensive midfielders who I'd consider better than him. What do you think, Gatesy?
Yeah, I can name one better CDM that's better than Thomas Souček, and it's the guy that's normally sat next to him, Declan Rice.
Yeah.
in my opinion. That's one straight away. Fabinho maybe, but he's put it this way: he's in the conversation as far as CDMs are concerned, in my opinion. But let's see what the other guys think. I don't know. Duke, are you still with us, or have you cleared off to?
No, I'm here, buddy. I was just,
yeah.
to be honest, I was just grabbing something to eat. So,
did you hear what West Ham Online went with?
I did indeed. It was one that I was gonna touch on. Yeah, listen, I rate Kimmich incredibly highly. I think he's without doubt is if not the best defensive midfielder. And for me, Rice, no disrespect to Thomas Souček, they've got a fantastic partnership. Declan Rice is a better CDM. So as far as I'm concerned, if you had to rank them for me, you could probably go with Kimmich, Rice, before you even get to Souček. And there are so many good CDMs in the world. Mandy, just quickly, well, she ain't gonna hear us. But Gatesy, if you could reply to her, she can come over.
Typing away.
I just wanted to say,
Gatesy.
Duke, to touch on what you just said, as I say, I'm a big Souček fan, but I think in a possession-based team, he wouldn't be that great. I'd personally say, in terms of CDMs, you could argue Rodri, Fabinho, possibly you could argue Basuma. There's quite a few you could argue, but I don't know. It depends what everyone thinks. Whether his goals actually make him a better CDM is an argument in itself.
James?
No, it's fair enough.
James, what's
Which
your
one?
thoughts? James Anvil.
Okay, yeah, Kimmich is miles ahead of all of those guys. I think I like Josh Kimmich as well. I think he's a really good player. He's definitely impressing in the Bundesliga. Souček's nowhere near close to Kimmich. I don't even think Souček could be considered one of the best defensive mids in the world.
Fair enough. Cowhall, how about yourself? Your thoughts on Souček being the third best CDM in the world, according to this contributor?
I wouldn't agree with it personally. I think that's one of those sort of match of the day or FIFA fans watching the clips and seeing he's getting his team of the weeks and he's sort of a high-rated player sort of stuff. I wouldn't think it's someone who watches him week in, week out. Half the time, he's not even a defensive mid. He's a box more central midfielder than defensive mid. The thing that makes Rice one of the best defensive mids in the world is that there's not a lot of the old-style sort of natural CDMs anymore. And I wouldn't say Souček is an old-style CDM, and Rice is one of the best in the world, and I'd put Rice ahead of him every day of the week.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's what I said sort of when I was asked by West Ham Online straight away. I'm like, well, in my opinion, Rice, the guy that's alongside him, normally I would say is ahead of him in the queue. But there you go. That's just my opinion. Let's get Irish Tommy, your thoughts, mate.
Yeah, it's far too strong a statement. Look, he's a very good player, and he does a great job for us. But he's not even the third best defensive midfielder in the Premier League. So that's a far too strong a statement. As much as I love him, Souček, there's definitely a number of orthodox CDMs out there. I think that I would take over him if you offered me a straight swap right now. Obviously, look, we don't need to talk about Kimmich. We know he's world class. Kante is incredible, but I think there are others who are also ahead of him. I'd take Fabinho over him. I'd take Ndidi over him. I think obviously I'd take Rice over him. And I don't mean to belittle his ability in any way, shape, or form. Obviously, doing a great job for us, and his partnership with Declan Rice. And this is where you have to mention partnerships too, because they're important. I don't think Rice would maybe even be able to perform quite as well without Souček beside him. And I think we're seeing at the moment that Souček isn't quite able to perform at exactly the same level when he has Noble beside him instead of Rice.
Yeah.
So I think the partnership is one of the best around as a two when Rice and Souček are there together. Just as an individual performer, Souček is very good and an important part of our team, but you can't be talking about him in the top three in the world. It's a bit ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what this guy's seeing, but it's an opinion, and that's what we're here to discuss. James Fever, third best defensive midfield in the world, according to this contributor. Your thoughts?
Not for me, mate. Not for me.
Yeah.
I don't think he is a defensive midfielder myself. I think he's more of an advancing midfielder, the amount of goals he scores. I don't see him, even though he's got more tackles than Rice, supposedly. Saying somewhere where I read he's won more tackles than Rice has, or something mad like that. Good player. He's done well for us, but there's better players out there for me. So, yeah.
Who's ahead of him in your opinion, James? Who's ahead of him in European
Fabinho, Kante, even Gundogan at Man City. Man City, he plays as a defensive midfielder, all-round midfielder, miles better than who?
Rodri, Man City.
Yeah,
and
Rodri there. Yeah, there's loads of them. But what it is, the only thing is he scores goals. That's the thing. We're naming off these players, and none of these guys, like indeed, don't score goals. I know Rodri might score one goal, but for a CDM, he's ideal, isn't he? Let's be honest, he scored 9 goals this year, I believe. So,
but I think James, a lot of that is to do with the fact that Rice is beside him, and is quite happy.
He hasn't looked quite the same, has he, Tommy?
Yeah, having Rice beside him gives him that freedom to read, and get in and around the box.
But let's be honest here. Let's be honest here. If Rice was next to Noble, would Rice look the same?
No.
Honestly. So
they
it counteracts each other.
So perfectly that
that's what we've always said.
One of the partnership is missing. The partner, it doesn't function as it did before. If you took Rice out and put Noble in, as we are at the minute, or if you took Souček out and put him alongside Rice, it just doesn't function the same way. They're perfectly in sync.
He's a good player. He's a good player. He's valuable to us. But if someone come in and said, "We'll give you 80 million for him," or 70 million for him, which, let's be honest, he's only 24. He plays for the Czech Republic. He's banging hat-tricks. I think we would consider it, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
Because I think I know he scores goals, but if you see DM scoring goals, you want your attackers to score goals, not your CDM. So,
80 million quid, I'd snap your hand off if someone comes in with 80 million quid for Souček. I wouldn't hesitate.
Yeah,
he's replaceable. As good as he is for us, he's replaceable. He just is. You can go out and get another. You can go out and get another, really quality player for that position.
Let's be honest
and still have a lot of change left over from 80 million.
If someone said to you right now, you're gonna get 80 million for Souček, and you're gonna go and buy Basuma from Brighton with change, I think everyone would accept that.
Yeah,
bite your hand off for it. Basuma's a serious player.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I reckon, you could get Basuma I think you could get Basuma
50
at a really, really good price. I don't think Brighton would be looking for stupid money for him. Is he on loan at Brighton?
No, he's permanent.
No, he's permanent.
No, I think he's
permanent signing. Yeah. I think for Basuma, you might even get some change out of 20 million.
He's good at striking from distance.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't
Milesy.
know I get what everyone's saying quickly. Where people are saying, would Rice be the same without Souček? You only have to go back not that long ago to answer that question. And I think even without Souček, he wasn't as good, but Rice was still outstanding.
Fair point. Milesy, your thoughts, sir?
Rice and Souček are not defensive midfield players, in my opinion. They're centre midfield players. If you look at both of them, they both complement each other. One goes forward, one goes back. So I can't really class them as defensive midfield players, to be honest. We're probably only one of the sides who plays two central midfield players. You normally play a number 10 or a defensive mid, and like what everyone said, they complement each other, and I wouldn't have it any other way. And I understand what you're saying. 80 million's too good to turn down, but where are you going to get them other 9 goals from?
Yeah, I'm going to disagree a little bit there. I do think Rice is an orthodox defensive midfielder.
I agree.
No, I think he's good enough that he could transition to central midfield and be a kind of box-to-box raiding midfielder. I think he could do that no problem. But I do think right now I see Rice as an orthodox defensive midfielder. I wouldn't really see Rice as a central midfielder, even though I think he could transition to it. He's good enough and got the talent. But yeah, to me, he's an honest to high.
So he doesn't run forward.
So does Kante.
Yeah, every defensive.
Yeah, running forward doesn't mean you're not a defensive midfielder.
Well, no, okay, get in attacking positions.
That's part of a defensive midfielder's job. Kante was doing it all night last night against Real Madrid.
Rodri's goals only come.
Are you going to tell me now? Are you going to tell me no? Kante is not a defensive midfielder. He's not a CDM.
No, he's not a defensive midfield player.
Kante.
Midfield player. Yeah.
Oh, come on.
When Jorginho and Kovacic play, Kante plays in front of them.
Yeah.
I
Right.
actually agree with what both of you are saying. I don't think Kante plays defensive midfield anymore, but I think Rice definitely
He's the best.
does.
He's the best defensive midfield player. One of the best defensive midfield players in the Premier League history.
Yeah, he is. You're right.
History, not just this season, last 5 years. He's been one of the best. So yeah, he's a defensive midfielder.
No, James, you're right. But at the moment, what Andy's saying is at the moment, Kovacic is not Kovacic. Jorginho actually plays far deeper than
he plays deeper, doesn't he?
Listen, because they don't have a pole with a chain around their ankle that only allows them to go 10 yards, doesn't mean they're not a CDM. You're not precluded from getting forward a bit as a CDM, but your main job is to shield in front of the defense, and that's what you spend most of your time doing. Yes, you can carry the ball out if there's space in front of you and make a pass. There's no problem there, but I think you're getting too hung up on the fact that he went forward more than 10 yards. He's not a defensive midfielder.
It's an opinion show. It's like everyone's attacking me. Let's just move on.
He'd spend half his time at sort of left centre back or left back whenever Cresswell's there, because Cresswell does his bombing runs up. He spends a lot of time covering that space.
Yeah. Does that mean Cresswell's not a defender now because he gets forward and puts crosses in?
Yeah, he's a left winger, Cresswell. Don't you know?
A left winger. He's a defender. He's a left back Cresswell. Or a left. He does a lot of his raiding. Most of Cresswell's raiding is done from centre back.
Yeah, in the Premier League these days, it's common to have an attacking fullback anyway. It's common to have your fullbacks run up at top anyway.
No. Fuck the fullbacks. I want wingers. I want wingers at the club who can score goals. Not. Yeah. I don't want me fullback running up and down the wing. I want me wingers to run up and down.
I was referring to Cresswell.
I think if you ask David Moyes what position is Rice, he'll say defensive midfielder. If you ask Thomas Tuchel what position does Kante play under him, I don't think he would say defensive midfielder.
It says central.
Ask Didier Deschamps where Kante plays.
Yeah, he does for France. He does.
We're gonna move on now, gents. We've batted this one around a little bit. We've got some good mileage out of this one. Duke, what's the one you want to bring to the table, please?
Yeah, I'm actually just going into the thing again, Gatesy. Actually, I was just sitting there and having a little butcher's. There was 2 or 3 that actually stood out, and I'm in the wrong account now. If you can bring them back up on the screen for me.
Yeah, sure thing.
Logged into the wrong account.
Got this one. Any there that you were looking at, or?
Yeah, the one from Harrison Oakley.
Okay.
Haller is the worst and most overrated striker we have ever had by a portion of our fan base. I completely disagree, and I know I'm about to get some absolute stick from this. I really like Haller. Does he look lazy? Yeah. Does he look like he's disinterested? Yeah. But guess what? When you played him in the right formation and with the right tactics and with the right players around him, he delivered in spades over in Germany, which is considered a top league. It's considered one of the top 5 leagues, and he delivered in spades. There are several players out there that have played in the Premiership that look disinterested. One of the greatest Premier League midfielders, as far as I'm concerned, will be Matt Letizia. Walked around and looked disinterested far too often on a football pitch. and then lit up a game with maybe 5 minutes of magic, and he's considered one of the greatest Premier League players. You see what I mean? So I can't agree with it. I can't agree with it. I think it's a joke of a comment. And if we play to his strengths, I go back to the same comment that I've made over and over again in arguments with people in the pub, and you know someone here actually and on Twitter. Comments that were made about about Andy Carroll. Now Andy Carroll played at Newcastle, and Newcastle played to his strengths and not to his weaknesses. They got down the wings, they put the ball in the box. He won headers, they scored goals. Be it he scored the goals, be it he won the header, and deflections, rebounds, knockdowns, whatever. The ball ended up in the back of the net for Newcastle. Now, because of that, he became a £25 million striker that replaced Fernando Torres at Liverpool. And guess what?
Oh, flopped.
Liverpool tried to change the way that Andy Carroll plays football. Andy Carroll isn't a person that can deliver the ball to his feet and expect him to turn and run at a defender or play balls in behind exactly how Liverpool used to play with Fernando Torres. Doesn't work that way. And all of a sudden, Andy Carroll is now considered a flop at Liverpool because he didn't perform like he did at Newcastle, because Newcastle played to his strengths. Same with Haller. We signed him. You know, his previous club played to his strengths. You know, him and was it Jovic?
Yeah.
Absolutely,
Jovic,
Jovic, absolutely fantastic. Played to his strengths. He gets goals. It's plain and simple. He comes to us. We try to change the way he plays, in the same way that Liverpool did with Carroll, and it didn't work. Surprisingly, a lot of our fan base call him a flop, a waste of money, in the same way that Liverpool fans exacted that out on Andy Carroll. So, no, Harrison Oakley, I'm afraid, sir, I completely and utterly disagree with you.
Fair enough. West Ham Online.
Before I come to that, I want to quickly look at this, which I think is an unpopular opinion that was just at the bottom from Claret Newham, sick of the Champions League. I think it was, well, I can't say I watched it back then, but I love the fact that there's a lot of teams in the Champions League and it's not just winner takes all. Yes, the name is very misleading because it's not the Champions League, but I think it is better now. But anyway, on Haller, he's certainly not the worst striker we've ever had, which was one of the points of the comment. He's not the worst striker we've ever had. He's better than Maiga, Colton Cole. There's a lot of strikers that he's better than. Overrated.
No Maiga disrespect, please.
Yeah.
Yeah, the winner.
He did get the winner against
disrespect
Spurs.
either.
I know, like Colton Cole, I swear to God, mate, he's an icon at West Ham. You know what I mean?
My favourite striker.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Can't be knocking Colton Cole.
He is an icon,
Do you know what
but you're also better than him. But on Haller, he was overrated by a few. How do I say this? When he joined the league, he was certainly overrated in the fact that people expected him to be a far better player than he is. Pellegrini used him completely wrong. Straight away, put him in a one up front when he played in the 2 and a 3 in his whole career. But am I a big Haller fan? Personally, no. I was never very convinced with him, even on the ball. I didn't think he was that great. I do see what Duke's saying, though, in the fact that if he plays to his strengths, he probably does get goals. So I disagree with the opinion, but at the same time, I can see why you'd not why you'd say he's the worst, because he's not, but why you'd think he's overrated, because I'm certainly not a big Haller fan, and I think a lot of the time when I watched him, he'd just be so frustrating. I'd want to rip my eyes out because I had so much faith in him.
Yeah, I know, but people criticise Haller the same as they criticise Ben Rama. Haller technically was a better footballer, was a better striker than all the strikers we got at the club. Like, he knew where the goal was. He didn't run around, but did we really play to his advantage? Like,
no, we didn't.
Like,
but he just never looked like he got far more of a chance than Ben Rama did. And I just never was convinced by him. When we played the 2 up front, he did have a few good games. But at the same time, he still had a few games where you thought, Christ, what's going on here? Palace, when we lost 2-1, he played in the 2 up front. He looked shocking. Arsenal, he missed a few chances when we played 2 up
but
front.
the Palace game, when he played 2 up front, he looked shocking. He scored an overhead kick and got us an equaliser and got us 1 point.
No, that's the wrong game.
No, the one in
James. That's
2019.
the wrong game. It's 2019 when Ayew scored the last-minute goal where he ran past the whole team.
Under Pellegrini.
Yeah.
But you got to forget Pellegrini. Like, do you know what I mean? That's all last year. That's 2 years ago, near enough. Like, you got to go back to.
Yeah, but he's
the
also
last
the
6
person that
months.
signed him.
Everyone was shocking under Pellegrini that season.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
But the Heller thing.
I mean, if you want to look at his record under Moyes, I think it's worse. So.
Okay, so we'll bat it over to you, James Fever. Give us your opinions on that. Sebastian Haller, worst striker of West Ham.
He was. I thought when he was up for it, he was good. Like, don't get me wrong, you can question his work rate. His work rate was appalling. But to say that like people were criticising him, let's be honest here, we ain't got a striker at the club now. Well, I'll tell you what, I'd love to have him as a backup striker coming on against like Newcastle and other teams like that, and not cashed in 20 million. I think, and someone said it on West Ham Fan TV. Right, I'll never forget what they said. They said, "What is the point of cashing on 20 million on a player that if he scores goals, he's going to earn more than 20 million? His price is going to go up, not down." And the way I look at it is, we've cashed in on a player. We've gone with arguably a crooked striker who's injury prone, and Yarmolenko who's shite. So I don't get it myself, and I thought he was all right. I thought he got hounded by the fans because he saying what Tommy said the other week, and I made Tommy 100% right. People big him up like they big Ben Rama up, expecting this player's going to come in and bang in 25 goals a season. Because it don't work out straight away, people on his case. And with the West Ham fan base, they're reactionary. They act on reaction, right? They don't think about it. They just go, you know what, he's shit. We don't want him. Get him out. Get someone else in. That's how we work as a fan base. And it's sort of, I can relate to Ben Rama with that, because he ain't scored no goals. Everyone's going, oh, he's shit. He's no good. Get him out. Same thing.
Fair enough. Milesy, over to you. Sebastian Haller. Oh, I think you're on mute, mate.
If we sold his best strike partner in that summer, if Javier Hernandez and Haller were playing up front together for at least a season, I guarantee they'll get at least 20 goals between them, in my opinion. Pellegrini didn't play to his strengths, and we had the punishment for it. Technically, yeah, don't get me wrong. I saw a few people's comments saying that he walked around like a bit of an arrogance, but a lot of players do that. And yeah, like what James said, if we had him now, I'm sure we would have had a few more points with Antonio being out injured as much as he has been. Yeah,
I mean, I think it has kind of come back to bite us on the arse a little bit. I agree with what James was saying there. 20 odd million in the bank. If that costs us, if not having a striker costs us Champions League qualification, who knows, that 20 million quid that we've got in the bank could be counterproductive. But, who knows? There's still plenty of time left. We'll see how it pans out. Irish Tommy, over to you. Sebastian Haller.
Yeah, it's a ridiculous statement. It's to say he's one of the worst strikers we've had. You obviously can't have been a West Ham fan for more than a couple of years. We've had some absolute shockers playing for us up front.
Yeah,
absolute shockers. No, look, I think Haller does have a lot of ability. I think he is a good striker. He was just wrong place, wrong time. It happens with a lot of players. You see a player struggle at one club where it's not working out for them. For various reasons. I think maybe just didn't fit in the system, and Moyes wasn't willing to jiggle the system around enough for him to really make it work for him. So Moyes moved him on. I can understand why. If Moyes felt that he just wasn't ever really going to work at West Ham under his system, then fair enough, it's a manager's call. But he is talented, and I do think he'll score goals elsewhere. We saw his talent. Let's not be honest, and let's not pretend he did nothing at West Ham. He did show in some games, that he had a lot about him, and we just could never really get him going. So it's unfortunate it happens. He could go somewhere else now and start banging him in. I mean, look, if he didn't have talent, he would not have been doing what he was doing that got him the move to West Ham. At Eintracht. So clearly the talent is there. Sometimes it's just the fit. Sometimes how a player goes to the club is just down to the fit. I think that's a ridiculous statement to say. We've had some awful strikers over the years. Like, since 2010, you look at the record of strikers we've had since Golden Sullivan took over. It's just awful. And Haller is toward the top of the list if you're ranking our strikers that we've had at this club in his last 11 years, let's say, since Golden Sullivan bought the club. He's towards the top of the list as regards to talent. So, yeah, that's ridiculous. I think that's a ridiculous thing to say. Even though he didn't, obviously work out here, and we didn't see the best of him at West Ham, but to say he's one of the worst we've had is ridiculous.
I think it's fair to say that he was a disappointment for 45 million quid. He didn't live up to the price tag. That's a given. But I agree. I mean, I could think of several strikers just off the top of my head that I would say are far, far, far worse than Sebastian Haller ever could have looked in a West Ham shirt. But that's just my opinion. James from the Anvil, over to you. Same question. Sebastian Haller, worst striker ever at West Ham?
Stupid statement to make. You look at he's not the worst bloody striker. We've had over 50 strikers with them to its owners, and
about
I know
10
it's
goals.
not something you're proud to. Yeah, right. And Haller's not the worst striker. I just think he wouldn't have suited more style because Haller didn't move a lot. Haller was a very static player in the box and expected a lot of balls to come into him. The difference is Antonio moves. Antonio's physical. Antonio moves. Haller's just didn't do that. So that's maybe why Haller fell out of favour of Moyes. I think now Haller's gone to the Eredivisie, where it's a league that suits him a lot more and it suits his strengths. Maybe as a player. It's not necessarily to do with the fact that Ajax are playing him in a specific system. It's just the fact it's a league that he had success in the past because he played for FC Twente before he came to Germany. So I just think it didn't work out for him overall. We just move on.
Yeah. Fair enough. And Peach has just come up with one. Simone Zaza.
Oh,
yeah. Straight off. He was
shot against Man United.
And we've had this situation. We've had this situation before. I'm going to go back to the 90s here, but there was a Romanian striker who was exceptionally good and who had a brilliant, I don't know if it was World Cup or Euros for Romania.
I know where you're going.
And we bought him off the back of that. It's Florin Radicioiu, who had bags of talent, and was a really good goal scorer, but never. Now, Harry Redknapp brought him in, but he just could not adapt to the Premier League. Just couldn't do it. It was too physical for him. He didn't like it, and it was a complete bust. But mark my words, Florin Radicioiu was very, very talented.
No, can't disagree with that. Cahill, your opinions?
He's certainly not the worst we've had. Like, I found it very frustrating. I always wanted him to succeed, and after a stage you sort of just knew it wasn't. It was sort of like you go into a dealer, like if you're going into a dealership and you buy a lovely Mercedes, and then you take it out and it keeps stalling on you. It's either the driver's fault or the car's faulty. So you don't know. It could be the management that were the issue. It could be the player just wasn't fit for it. So it's one of those. But he certainly was not the worst striker we've ever had. He, like, maybe the management just didn't play to his strengths. But you can't afford to just say throw everything out the window. Let's play for him. But then again, you can't play 45 million for a player and not expect to play to his strengths. I think it was just whenever Pellegrini went out and Moyes came in, it wasn't. He definitely wasn't a Moyes player, so it just wasn't going to work out.
I don't know if Gatesy. I just want to say something quickly because I think I've said this to you before. I don't know if you remember, but I think I said this to you before, and it's something that I'll always remember when I think about Haller, because I remember at the time I was thinking it absolute rubbish, but I look back at it now and I think maybe he was right. Basically, I know someone who goes fishing with Mark Noble, and when we got Haller and Fornals at the same time, Haller, I don't know if you remember, but in the league he started off really, really well. Watford and Norwich, he scored goals and he played really well, especially in that Norwich game. And I went round there and I said, "Oh, he's brilliant. This Haller, he's going to get 20 goals." And he said, "Well, you say that. Mark Noble says that this isn't going to last. He says in training he don't look no good, and he doesn't think it's going to last." Yeah, and I was like, okay, I didn't think much of it. And then he started to go down. His form started to go down. He started to become a bit more inconsistent. And he said to me, he said, "I told you so." I think, wow. I mean, apparently Mark Noble never rated him, basically.
Wow. You heard it here first.
Wow.
Who'd have thought it?
That's a bombshell.
Before we move on to the next one word answer, gentlemen. I'm going to start at Duke and go round. Worst striker you've ever seen in a claret and blue shirt? Duke, go.
Marco Burgess.
West Ham Online.
Petric.
Fair enough. Irish Tommy.
Oh, some good answers there. I want to say Burgers as well, actually. That was shocking.
Wasn't even a striker, was he? I don't even know what he was.
Milesy, over to you.
TT Kamara.
Yeah. Cahill?
There's no wrong answer here, by the way.
Zaza, because we expected so much more. Like, there's a lot of them there that were just punts when we bought them. And, like, you can say, yeah, we've had 50 strikers, but a lot of them were free signings or punts. Zaza was someone we expected to be good, and he had a track record coming, and he was awful.
No. Who's that? Go on. You want to change
Mido.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Good choice or bad choice.
We've had so many flops. You know,
Benny McCarthy. Yeah.
Benny McCarthy.
John Carew.
John Carew.
Yeah, and the
James
list is long, but not distinguished.
For me, it's Zaza. Because of that Man United shot that just trailed way wide and wasn't even close to going in. He was shit. End of.
Yeah.
Jelovic didn't pull up any trees, did he?
No.
He was really
I'm going Boogers. I'm definitely going Boogers.
I think my ego was the biggest meme we had. I just remember laughing every time I play.
And Emenike was a bit of a meme as well. Remember that, lad?
Yeah.
Apart from those 2 goals
against Blackburn. At Blackburn.
Yeah, he scored 2 at Blackburn. We won like 5-2. Was it 5-2 or 5-0?
Do you know who wasn't great and I absolutely loved him? Was Samasi Abu.
Yeah. Loved the Matty.
Yeah, he's known for the jokes, isn't he, though?
Absolutely loves Samasi Abu. Yeah.
Isn't he sort of like a cab driver or something now, or a bus driver, someone told me?
God knows, but I still don't. He was a striker in the late 90s.
Yeah.
Very, he was, wasn't it? He hit the post against Arsenal, if I remember, in a cup game penalty shootout, and I hated him for it. I honest to God, but he was the fans when he touched the ball, the fans used to
yeah.
And he actually asked, I think Gatesy, you told the story, didn't you? He actually asked why are these people booing me? Because he didn't understand he didn't understand the humour of the West Ham fans at the time.
Gatesy, you're probably going to remember this same as Tommy and Duke. Do you remember the miss against Man United from 1 yard out?
What, a boo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When it's Michael Jeffrey.
Why do you have to bring me back to a place like that? Really?
We're talking about West Ham.
Really? Why do you have to do that to me, Milesy? I thought we were friends.
It's going to that game's actually on my season review for that year, so I'm going to mention it again.
Oh no! Oh, you evil bastard! How dare you? I think I'm going to give you the red card.
Yeah, it's always a discussion I like getting into. Like, who were players at West Ham? They probably weren't great, maybe weren't up to the job, but you just loved them. You know, you just love him.
fan favourite.
Fletcher
Freddie
came
Pinky,
up at the
he
bottom
went
as
to
well.
Doncaster.
Oh,
Ashley Fletcher came up at the bottom. I thought that was a good shout.
Yeah.
Like
I think we
Freddie
might have to
Pinky
do
a legend.
this one.
Gavin
We might have to
Daly.
do that, Tom.
Remember that?
Oh
We
my
might have to
God,
do that as
look
a
at
video.
Sorry.
We might have to
David
do that
McKay.
as a video. You know, like the hero, like the
Yeah.
fan hero, sort of the fan favourites that weren't actually like amazingly graced with skills.
Like cult heroes almost, but
Cult
for no
Yeah.
apparent
Got me up
reason.
Yeah. And Abu comes into that category for me.
We'd have a good few. We have a lot of them.
Yeah, I just took to some SC Abu straight away. Just loved the guy. And
Well,
to be fair,
Casey,
to be fair, you know, his attitude was spot on. He never stopped trying.
Yeah.
me and Gatesy
That was
discussed it last night on that kind of comment there, Tom. George Paris. See,
Yeah.
I absolutely love it. Gatesy mentioned last night. His testimonial was only like just over 1,000 and something fans were at the ground
Yeah.
for his testimonial, and I think that's just absolute madness. He was a cracking player.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was 1,300 or
Andre.
something. I think I remember reading. So,
Yeah.
Tommy, what did you want to bring to the table, my friend?
Right, mine's the Arnautovic one that came up. I can't remember, obviously, the exact
Find it.
wording.
Hang on.
If you can find it.
Let me find it.
The one about
Bum, bum, bum,
Arnautovic.
bum, bum. It's there. That one. Arnautovic
would be a
great addition to the team next year.
How many times does he come up every single
I know,
transfer
yeah.
window?
What a pile of bollocks. Listen,
Innit?
where do I begin? Like, we'll begin with football. I mean, he's 32. He turned 32 earlier this month. So he's in the autumn of his career. So the first thing is, you can be almost certain, but by the time next season starts, you are not getting the Marko Arnautovic that you remember. Right? The Arnautovic that played for us under Pellegrini, you're not getting that player. You're just not. He's older, and he's not going to be as good. It's as simple as that. And of course, at his age now, he may even become injury prone because he does put himself about physically. You know, he doesn't mind the rough stuff. He doesn't mind putting one on defenders. He doesn't mind getting into the rough and tumble with centre backs and stuff. So you're probably going to start seeing injuries at this stage. So just in purely footballing terms, I think we can do a lot better than a 32-year-old Marko Arnautovic was returning from a couple of seasons in China. So that's the football side. And then there's the other side, that the man's just a fucking snake. And frankly, what he did to us, the way he acted, was absolutely awful. It was completely unprofessional, completely self-serving. The way he went about it was completely wrong. Him and his brother Daniel acted disgracefully, frankly. You know, he tried to force his way out of the club initially, and then ended up being persuaded to sign a new contract for more money with a loyalty bonus added. That happened in January. That lasted until the summer, when he went ahead and forced a move to China anyway, because he wanted to go there to pick up his wage packet, and so his brother Daniel could get the signing on fee and get his kind of 12 pieces of silver out of it. So just on that basis, I would never, ever allow that man to wear a West Ham shirt again. I wouldn't sell him one in the club shop. I wouldn't. Like,
I'd rather.
as far as I'm concerned, Marko Arnautovic can go rot somewhere. I don't care what he does or where he does it. He just can't be doing it at West Ham. Absolutely no for me. I just do not see any upside to having Marko Arnautovic as our main striker next season, which is what he would be if we bring him back in. No chance in hell.
I'd rather shit into my hands and clap, quite frankly.
He's doing it again right now.
I
Like, that's the thing. His brother is negotiating with the team to get his contract terminated. So it's not like he just did it to us. He did it to Stoke, he did it to us, and now he's doing it to try come back to someone like us. Prick.
Yeah. No, I can't disagree with you. And
what was the video?
I'm a firm believer that
I'm back.
Yeah. That was after we got knocked out in the FA Cup against Wimbledon, wasn't it? They announced a new contract and all that bollocks.
That was so tone deaf.
The thing is,
Holding
for
the
me,
club to ransom.
yeah, I don't know about you guys, but I just think never go back.
No. Ship sail.
I don't know very many players that have gone back to a club or managers and have been as good as they were the first time or better. Very few. Very, very few. It's a short list. There are exceptions. Stacey saying she has a question, Duke, before we move this question along the panel. Hang on. You're on mute, mate.
Just hate
You're still on mute. There we go.
People are still talking to me in the pub. Yeah, I know her question. She's texted me the question. It's not West Ham related. Well, it could be deemed as late 70s, early 80s West Ham related. I have it as a text message. So I shall read out said text message that she sent me regarding her question. So her question was, why is it that football is not a violent sport, but the fans start fights, whereas rugby, which is quite a violent sport, and the fans are actually quite nice to each other?
A hooligan sport played by gentlemen and a gentleman sport played by hooligans, I suppose, isn't it?
That's the one.
If you don't mind, I'll take this one quickly.
Go on then.
Rugby was a game that was obviously created from, if my memory serves, quite a posh school.
Rugby school, yeah.
Yeah, the posh fans, topping those twats, no disrespect, at the time when it was created. Now, when with football, it's working class backgrounds. You look at the rivalries that are created from, you look at the Millwall West Ham rivalry. It actually stems back to the shipbuilding days and everything else. And it was a rivalry for work, and it wasn't just what was going on the pitch. It was those trying to outbid for contracts and building works, everything else. So a lot of it actually comes down to that kind of working class. Just individuals, I'm not saying it's right, and you look at what was the late 70s, well, all the 70s really, the early 80s, Cash and all the rest of it. I don't. That's the only way I can see it being, is the fact that rugby was created by like I say, quite a posh school. Whereas football is more for your working class individuals, and your rivalries are created because of where it began, which was like I say, West Ham Millwall was at the dockyards, and it wasn't just a rivalry for football; it was a rivalry for the working and the contracts and things like that.
Yeah, football for some reason. Yeah, football actually, in its very early days, was actually mostly played by privately educated, quite posh people, believe it or not. But am
I right in thinking someone just, when they were playing football, picked up the ball and ran with it, and that's where we ended up.
William Webb Ellis.
Yeah, that was the one.
That man down there. Yeah, see, listen, it's the wrong shaped ball. I don't give a monkey.
Webb Ellis, yeah. But football actually started out the same way, believe it or not. It was actually created by kind of very well-to-do, privately educated chaps. But for some reason, it just kind of resonated with the working class, and it just started. Teams started popping up, kind of originally, I think, in the north of the country. Places like Lancashire and Yorkshire and stuff like that, and it just took off with working class people for some reason. And it just grew and grew and grew, and actually became the sport of the working class, so people who were miners and factory workers and shipbuilders and things like that. And it just really took off, and the working class basically just took over football. And it's been that way ever since. That's why it's not, it's the people's game, and it's why it's England's national game. It's because the working class obviously were the masses. So yeah, it's just from those beginnings, that it's always been a working man sport, and obviously working men, when they're finished their week of slogging away very hard in their factories and mines and dockyards, get a few drinks in them, and go to watch their local team because their mate, works at the shipyard, is playing, or their brother's playing, or cousin's playing or what have you, and they've got a few drinks in them, and well, you can imagine the rest when it gets a bit heated on the sidelines. You end up with some fisticuffs, and yeah, so that's football for you. Thankfully, we've cleaned it up largely, but yeah, that's kind of how it came about, really.
I hope that's answered your question, Stacey. We're here to educate and inform. Back on to the original topic that we were talking about.
And if it didn't, I don't care.
Yeah, I don't either. So, Marko Arnautovic will go. James from the Anvil.
Don't want him back at the club, in all honesty. Not at all. I think his ship sailed. Why do I want to take back? If the club was as respectful as it was, no club would ever have him back because of how he treated the club, held it to ransom in a way, thought that he was bigger than the club and he was a cocky bastard. No, only 32 years old now. We need to look for a younger player. I like Arnautovic for what he's done for the club, but the last half of the 2018-19 season, he ruined it for himself. And, good riddance to him, I suppose, in a way.
Fair enough. I don't think I'm going to get too much of a disagreement from the two chaps that are left, but let's see. Milesy.
Good player for us, but yeah, like you said, I can imagine his wages being on over 100k, what he'll demand. And I'd rather give that money to Declan Rice. Pretty much it, to be honest, from me.
Fair enough. Last but not least, Cahill.
He can just rightly fuck off, in my thoughts. Like, let him go rot somewhere that's willing to take scum like him in and pay him wages. It's literally the footballing equivalent to getting a manager like Pellegrini, someone who's off to China for their payday and past it. You don't bring them back. Yeah. We've seen it doesn't work. So he can shove it.
Yeah, I think.
And I'm also someone who's very. For years, I love transfer gossip and looking at it. Now I've got to the stage where we've seen so much as a West Ham fan that I don't care half the time. But also, I just want who Moyes wants. But if Moyes wants him, I'll disagree with it because of his track record. Yeah. But I'm very just whoever Moyes wants, let him go get him. But not in this one if he does.
Unless it's him. Yeah, unless it's him, in which case he can fuck off.
We can do a lot better than Arnautovic. Come on.
Oh,
and frankly,
record isn't good in China. I don't think anyway.
Frankly, I don't think Moyes has any interest whatsoever in bringing him back.
No. I mean,
it's lazy journalism. It's lazy journalism. He's going to be out of contract in the summer, and he used to play for us. And then so the lazy journalists are saying, "Oh, I need to fill a column here." Arnautovic back to West Ham. Not happening.
No, I can do one.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so James, what did you want to bring to the subject matter, my friend?
Okay, the one saying that Bobby Moore is the greatest English centre-back ever.
Yes, let me just get it up on screen if I can find it. There it is.
Yeah, there it is. Bobby Moore's the best. Yeah, completely agree.
Elaborate.
Well, Bobby Moore, not only did he win the World Cup as England captain, but it's the way that he played the game so advanced for the time period. We're talking 1960s, where football was not as attacking or maybe as exciting as it is today. Moore stole the show with his offensive prowl and his solidness. Pele even called Bobby Moore the greatest defender he'd ever played against. I read the book Bobby Moore, The Man in Full. I think it's by a guy called Matt Dickinson or somebody like that. He speaks to a lot of Moore's family members and former teammates, including Jeff Hurst and Harry Redknapp. They all pretty much agree the same thing, that he was just a class player, but as a person, no one really knew a lot about him because he was very self-to-self. Jeff Hurst recalls that Bobby Moore only praised him once, and that was for the hat-trick in the World Cup final. So I think Bobby Moore, Bobby Moore was the greatest English defender to ever live, and obviously he's worshipped in West Ham culture. The things that the man did at the time of playing were exemplary.
Yeah, no arguments from me on that one. Milesy, your thoughts?
Pretty much, yeah, what James has said. I can't really echo anything more than that. The only thing I will say is It happened to a couple of players with West Ham. We didn't appreciate him when he was alive until he was gone. I don't think we should have offered him some stuff at the club, even if it was like on the board or something like that. But that's my only thing. What I will say, like you said, he just didn't get the credit he deserved until, which happens with a lot, and not just our club. It happens with a lot of players that we don't start appreciating what they've done until after they've gone. So yeah, pretty much that from me.
Yeah.
Can't disagree with that. Cahill?
So what is it, that he's the best English defender ever? That's the statement.
No, I think the best. Hang on a minute. Let me just get it back on screen just to double check. No, the best ever English centre back.
Sure, I can't say I know much about English history of centre backs. I know from what I've heard of Bobby Moore and all. I've never really, as James has done, I've never really looked lights and all. I can't say much, but I'll agree with it just on because so many people have said it. I honestly don't have much of an opinion on it. I'll just agree. It's not something I've ever really thought about.
No, that's fine. I'm not being funny, but I'm guessing you have to be of a certain age to really sort of, get the sort of like what Bobby Moore was.
Yeah, exactly. Like
as far as players concerned, if you're
even in my
a
dad's
young
time,
whippersnapper like you are.
Even in my dad's time, I don't think he was around. By the time, when did he leave? In the early 70s?
74, I think.
Yeah, my dad starts like my dad was probably only watching properly when he was 7 or 8, so I wouldn't even hear much from him. He's more of a Bonds and sort of Lampard man.
Yeah, just to make you feel really young. Just to make you feel really young, Cahill. He made his debut for West Ham in 1958.
Yeah, I'll just say he's the best. Then he's the best ever. Well, I don't have much. I like him because he's sort of our club. He's our club legend and all. But
I've actually got the jacket on that says Bobby Moore debut.
I have the jacket. I actually have the jacket. I have the other coloured one though. I have the claret coloured jacket.
Oh,
but
nice.
I'm more of a Bonds was always someone I'd have fonder sort of memories of.
That's
what I would talk about.
Yeah, I have a 1958 jersey with the 6 on the back. So, but
fair enough. Over to you, Tommy. Your thoughts?
Yeah, it's a no-brainer. I mean, he just is. And I know it's easy to be kind of West Ham centric here because we're all fans, and he's a legend and an icon of our club. But I think even if you're looking at it as a neutral and you say who's the best English centre back ever, I think if there was a national poll, I think there's only one person going to win it. There really is. I mean, even from neutral fans, I think the majority of them would even accept that Bobby Moore absolutely is the greatest centre back England has ever produced. And as James said, when you've got someone like Pelé, and Pelé played against Moore when Pelé was in his prime, when they were both in their prime.
Yeah.
And he said, he's on record as saying that Bobby Moore is the greatest centre-back he's ever played against. And he would have played against all of the centre-backs around the world, in World Cups. I mean, that'll tell you everything. I mean, and
it's that photo, Tommy, innit? At the end of the game. It's the end of the game, that photo. That's very iconic.
Yeah, I've got that on one of my T-shirts.
That's the old saying, right? Game recognizes game, right? So greatness recognizes greatness. And that's what that photo was all about. That's pure respect. That's two players who are absolutely world-class and exceptional, acknowledging each other as such. And having that respect for each other. Also, there's a reason.
NES for 4 nows.
Yeah. Also, there's a reason why Bobby Moore's statue is outside Wembley. As you walk in, there's Bobby Moore, standing there, proud as punch. He's an icon of the English game and an icon for us. So we're very lucky that we had a player like him at our club, someone that we can really look up to and be very proud of and say, yes, we produced that player. He was our player. And of course, his exploits in '66 speak for themselves. So yeah, there's no question. I think it's a no-brainer. He absolutely is the best English centre-back of all time. I'm trying to think who comes close to him, and I can't even think.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Who is the debate? Because obviously,
because if you're
English,
if you're trying to make a debate out of this, who are you putting up against Bobby Moore to say, yeah, he was better?
You can't even get anyone close.
No,
he's not close, but the one for me for what he achieved and his leadership skills, he's nowhere near Bobby Moore. Will probably be Tony Adams to me.
I was thinking that.
For second, I'm not saying first. I'm just saying the person.
But to me, he's not even a close second. Tony Adams.
No.
I'm just saying.
There's an argument
miles ahead of everyone.
Yeah.
There's an argument to be made that he's England's greatest ever player.
Yeah.
There's an argument to be made there.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's, regardless of being a centre back or not, and there has been some absolutely outstanding players that have pulled on the Three Lions, and I mean some outstanding players. And I'm not just talking from what no disrespect to us three on the top, but the guys on the bottom three here, guys that came along long before those guys. You could be talking, Matthews, Mortensen, some of these guys, or Mortensen, you know what I mean? Charlton, both Charltons. These guys are up there. If you were to do a greatest ever 11, Bobby Moore's the first name you put on that sheet, and then
I'll tell you what.
about the rest.
I'll tell you what. You go and just to talk in modern terms, and he could play today. Bobby Moore.
Said this over and over again, Tommy.
He could play today. He had that much talent, and as much as the game has changed, anyone who hasn't watched enough of Bobby Moore, and listen, he's not contemporary to me. I was born in '75, right? So it's not like I grew up watching Bobby Moore.
No.
So, but obviously, because he's a club legend, I watched back all the old games and stuff. Watch him play. I'll tell you what. If Bobby Moore was playing, say, for West Ham now, when he's I think he came into the team, he was 17, something like that. And let's say he's, 20 or 21 years old at West Ham playing. I guarantee you, Pep Guardiola would be all over him. His ability, even with the ball at his feet, was superb. His ability to carry a ball out of defense was exceptional. And he could pass. He could pass the ball. He was a superb passer of the ball. His vision was superb. He was a real modern. He was ahead of his time. He really was. As a centre back, he changed the game. When you watch Bobby Moore play as he came through at West Ham, when he would have been a young centre back still developing, you would have been watching him back then, saying, "Okay, this is new. This is not centre back that we're used to. We're not used to seeing this from centre backs." Just his ability to carry the ball out from the back and to pass the ball. He had. Let's not forget he had an assist in the World Cup final in '66. So.
Tom, would you say that you just said there about the way that people were looking at Bobby Moore coming through as a younger player? Would you say that we our generation would have held the same kind of reverence towards Joe Cole, the way we looked at Joe Cole coming through our academy, or Rio or
Rio Ferdinand? I would say Rio Ferdinand.
Yeah, Rio Ferdinand's a better comparison.
Yeah, for younger fans, I would say think Rio Ferdinand. Right? When Rio Ferdinand came through, it was immediately obvious, despite his inexperience and his age, you knew just from looking at him, even in the youth team watching him, you just knew, okay, this guy is special. This guy is really, really special. And yeah, if you're very young, obviously, Carl. For those fans who are a little bit older, slightly older, Rio Ferdinand was the same kind of thing. He came through, and his ability was just unfair. There's probably other players his age thinking it's not fair that he can do this. He was just so exceptional, and you could see it every time he played. He's again, like I was saying, Duke. His ability to carry the ball out from the back as well. And to pass the ball off was exceptional. I remember being very proud and excited, even though I'm Irish. I remember when he broke into the England team at a very young age, which is not easy to do. It's not easy for a teenager to make his debut for England at centre-back.
I was there.
Yeah, and I remember him at one stage, he won the ball at the back, and he carried the ball all the way out to midfield and went past a couple of players. And just as he was getting tackled by the third, he passed the ball off, a good pass. I can't remember, maybe to David Batty or so. But and you just remember thinking, "Wow, this kid doesn't know that he's a kid and that he's inexperienced." I mean, he was playing like someone who'd been playing at international level comfortably for 10 years. He had that much self-confidence and self-belief and ability. And so Bobby Moore and Rio were very similar in that respect.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and the thing that really annoys me, and I've said it before, and I'm not alone in this, I know, is his equivalent in Germany was Franz Beckenbauer. And Franz Beckenbauer retired and became the West German national manager. He was made, I believe, the president of Bayern Munich. Why did Bobby Moore not get that recognition? That's just something that I've never, ever been able to get my head around.
Wrong club.
Totally. Well, not just the wrong club, Tom, but also, like I say, the FA. What did they do? Absolutely nothing. And after he was gone, exactly what Milesy was saying, after he was gone, let's name a stand after him. Let's make a statue, blah, blah, blah. He's in a box. He's 6 feet under. It's ridiculous. Why are you doing it now? You should have been doing this years ago.
Yeah.
Still no MBE.
If for anyone who's on BBC iPlayer, I watched it again. I've watched it a few times. Just the title called Bobby. It's available on iPlayer. I watched that a couple of weeks ago, actually. And for anyone, that's a great watch. That goes through his career, and then they talk about, I believe it was his partner who was with, even his ex-wife Tina was on there as well. Yeah, as well. Like it's a great watch, and you really do understand what he was going through in his personal life as well. That's what people don't realise.
He had a lot going on.
Yeah, and I know Cahill just mentioned it, but I think Declan Rice is in the same mold. I think Declan Rice is a player in years to come we're going to look back on and say, yeah, we told you he was special.
He's probably the first one.
A lot of fans.
Is he?
A lot of fans of other clubs around the country haven't seen the light yet, but in time we will be able to clap back at them and say, we told you he was special.
And before I move it on, if anybody's watching that wants to know what all the fuss is about with Bobby Moore, try and find a copy of England versus Brazil 1970 World Cup, and then you'll get it. Trust me. Watch that
Masterclass,
and you'll get it 100%. Milesy, what did you want to bring to the table, my friend?
I think a couple will like this one as well. When I was at the pub on Friday, his name got mentioned quite a few times because we was actually talking about West Ham as well, is how underappreciated Carlton Cole was as a West Ham player. I believe it. See, I knew it straight. No, in my opinion, he is the fact that he's still around the club and the fact that he realises it is just a big bonus. And when he left the first time and come back, I think that just proved how much we missed him. And to be honest, if Carlton Cole was 10 years younger, I'm sure he would be still playing for us now and be doing the dog work like what Antonio does, and would be I think he was just if he was 10 years after, I think we'll be very happy. And he's just his attitude to the game. He knows he's not the best, and I think they're the kind of players who you begin to realise, like he knew it, but the amount of goals he scored for us, important goals he scored for us, obviously. The ones what spring to mind is obviously the playoff final and stuff like that, and what he was like under Zola.
That was a great finish. That was a great finish against Blackpool. Yeah,
and what he was like for under Zola. I remember that Wigan away goal. I remember that very well, and stuff like that. So I just wanted you guys' opinion. I don't think people just don't class him. I think he's probably up there and probably the top 5 Premier League strikers who we've had for what he contributed to us.
Yeah, I think those of us who were at West Ham throughout his career do recognise him. I think fans that maybe came afterwards don't realise. But I think any fan who was following West Ham as I was throughout Carlton's career realises, just what a good player he was for us. And look, we know he wasn't silky smooth, and he, wasn't going to ever kind of bang in 25 or 30 goals a season, but he was really important to us, and he was a very good player for us. And I think those of us who watched his career at West Ham, I think we do appreciate him. But unfortunately, he's one of those players that younger generation fans who came after will maybe never really appreciate, what he did for the club and how good he was for us.
Yeah. I just thought I'll get that point across. He goes very under. And another goal, what springs to mind, sorry, I know everyone wants their say, was the Tottenham goal. Do you remember the Tottenham goal at home when he just swiveled and smashed it in? Do you remember that one? That as well. So yeah, that I remember being in obviously the Bobby Moore stand, obviously being behind that goal as well. And I'll get Cathal. I know he's waiting in the wings to have his say, so I'll let him crack on.
There was a time, actually. I know we talked about strikers that were really bad, for us, and we went through the list. But over the years, the Premier League years, we've had some really good ones as well. We have. It hasn't been complete flops. I mean, we've had some really, like Bobby Zamora. Even though I loved Bobby Zamora. I mean, he was really talented. I thought, really good player for us.
Yeah.
And we had the likes, obviously, of Di Canio and Canute. John Hartson did a great job. Him and who was it? It was along Kitson. It was alongside him. Were really good. We've had some very good forwards as well. That have done a great job for us.
Dean Ashton.
Oh, Dino.
Oh,
yeah.
Sad times.
Yeah.
Go on, Cathal.
Carol, on to you. Carlton Cole, underappreciated?
A big virtual hug to everybody, fellow lovers of Carlton Cole, my favourite West Ham player of all time. That just shows you the generation I've grown up in, that man is my favourite player. But he is the human embodiment of West Ham. He is the spirit of West Ham. Yeah, not always the best, but does he try 100% every time? He's a character. He's just... He seems like such a fun person to be around. Like he's loved in the dressing room. I can't even describe it. I just think he's so underappreciated. So many people just take a joke out of him and make fun, but they don't know how good he. Like I know he was never setting the world alight, but he was a very good player, especially on his day, and he had a lot of skill for someone of his size, and. He never stopped trying, and he showed he loves the club. He is the spirit of our club, and I do love that man. He's so underappreciated.
I think maybe some fans underappreciate him, but I think he is largely loved by the fan base. I remember he was.
I think he's more loved in a jokey way. You see, because people think Carlton wasn't any good and all.
No, I remember. A couple of seasons back, we were on live on BT, and I think he was pitch side for BT, and the whole away end started singing his song, to him, and so there's a mixture. I think he is loved largely.
I was at that game, Tommy. Yeah, it was Southampton away last year when we won 1-0, and I was there in the away end, and literally everyone went off, and after Sky finished, we waited, and he was just going mad, and then he walked up to the fans, giving it all that, and Jamie Redknapp stacked it, so that was quite funny, but no one managed to get that on camera.
James, Carlton Cole, your thoughts?
I got time for him. He's a great guy. He's funny, understands everything about West Ham, and even though, like we say, he wasn't the best player, but he did have some good moments with us. He had some good moments in the club. He scored goals, some of them quite memorable. Yeah, very likable guy.
Oh, you know what we never mentioned earlier, and I just remembered we're talking about famous goals for West Ham. Ian Dowie. Do you remember? He will forever be absolutely brutal, and he'll forever be remembered for his own.
One of his many goals, huh?
He'll be forever remembered for the Stockport own goal. Which
what a header! What a header! Any striker would have been proud of that in the upper end. Honest to God, I remember watching that, thinking, "Holy shit, what a finish!" And then realised it was the wrong end.
Yeah, I remember.
Where are we right in saying, Tom? He was on a goal scoring out there, wasn't he?
Yeah. Well, where are we? Where are we on? You remember we had Lee Chapman as well that we got from Leeds, who had actually done very well at Leeds, and Lee had a bit about him.
Luke, you're saying Carlton Cole?
Luke, yours.
Oh, sorry, I was just asking for a beer from Holly. Sorry. No, listen, King Colton, honest to God, right? A couple of my friends meet and talk to Colton, and they've got nothing but praise for him. The way he waxed his lyrical about the club, they love him. And you know what? He loves the club back. You know, he's working there at the training ground and everything else. And I just listen. There was a time in his career where, you know, I can't remember who the coach was that came in, but they turned him into an absolute well beater. The guy was on fire.
It was Zola, wasn't it?
Zola, yeah, Zola.
Teddy
Teddy
Sheringham. Teddy Sheringham come in as a strikers coach.
No, there was another coach that came in. I think it was more like a
Kevin Keys.
it was like it was a head. It was like a head coach, like a mental coach kind of thing. And they had him believing he was possibly, you know, he was the best player in the world for about 12 games. He was unbelievable for West Ham. You know, they turned him into an England player. Then like the psychotherapist left, and he just went back to his normal self. But for about 12 games for West Ham, he was unbelievable. And I've got nothing but respect for the guy. You know, I think I love him. Like you said, Cal, he's the physical embodiment of West Ham. You know, he's not the greatest, but he tries bloody hard. You know, wasn't overly successful, but you know what? He just appealed to us as fans because, you know, we believe
he might not have won trophies, but he won a club, and that club will never sort of leave him. So
we'll never forget.
That's as much as you can get if you're not going to win trophies.
I'll tell you what, in that sense, in the same way that Paolo with Di Canio, he's held in that same kind of the love for the fans have for Paolo is the same sort of love that not in the sense of like the type of player he was, just the way he was West Ham. Paolo was West Ham, Colton's West Ham, and he's loved in the same sort of way as Paolo.
Yeah, and the thing what springs to mind was he's openly come out and said it was the fact that the choice that he took a pay cut in the Championship to stay with us. So we had interest from Stoke. He openly come out and said that as well, and that just makes me love him even more as well. And any other striker probably would have left.
And the fact that, you know what, he didn't even go and find another club. He just waited for us to come back. You know, after, you know, when we released him, he didn't bother going looking. He knew that we were going to want him back. He knew that he wanted to come home, and he waited. He did, you know. Listen, I don't know whether he got any offers, but he didn't go, did he? He came back to us,
and he got that Everton goal as well. He got that goal for the Adrian gloves off moment to get us into that penalty shootout.
Yeah. I mean, he'd never make a Legends 11, I think it's fair to say, but he'd definitely be in the cult heroes category. I think that's fair to say.
I like that. I love him.
So, last but not least, we got Cal. What did you want to bring to the table to discuss, my friend?
Mine was that Ogbonna needs a new partner, someone to play with him. I personally, what we have is good enough right now, especially if we want to play at a higher level. If we want to maintain the sort of the level we're playing at now, we need someone better to partner Ogbonna, and I agree with it.
This one here, Diop should be our starting.
No, it was in the page before that.
Before.
No. Yeah, it's the bottom left.
Oh yeah. Need a new centre back along with Oggy. So who's your thoughts on who that person should be? Have you got any suggestions?
I want Anderson who's on loan at Fulham. Right, I think perfect sort of player for us. He can play ball playing. He's big and strong. He can do the need him to, and I think he's just the perfect fit. You get him for a good price, between 20 to 25 million. He's 24. Like, he's near enough 10 years younger than Ogbonna, and even a year or two with Ogbonna, as long as Ogbonna is able to play for us, it's not going to do anyone with his talent that he already has any harm. And he's captain in the side he's only on loan at. That shows how good he is.
Me and Miles were
Is he
talking
the guy
about him
that
the
you
other
said
day.
was Cal? Is this the guy that you said could also play defensive mid as well?
Yeah, he could. He has all the attributes for it.
It's another little tick in the box, because obviously I think we also need cover for the two lads in front of the back four. We'll take this one to Tommy. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I have to agree with Cahill, to be honest. Look, Dawson's done well. Balbuena does quite well when he comes in. Diop is a bit up and down, has some good games and some poor games. I think given Ogbona's age, no, he's still playing fantastically, and I think he will continue to play fantastically for another couple of seasons at least, because he takes really great care of himself. I think he'll play until he's comfortably till he's 36.
And he's an Italian stallion. They do that.
Italians only get better in their 30s at centre back. So, but I think, because he is in the autumn of his career, I think we have to start looking now and say, okay, we have to get someone young and very talented in beside him who'll be a natural leader by the time Ogbonna is maybe waning in his talents. So by the time we start thinking about moving Ogbonna on, we already have our new Ogbonna, who's in his mid to late 20s, in place in the team, who's already a leader on the pitch. So we have to be thinking about that going forward, because it's not going to be Dawson. It's not going to be.
You could never see Diop doing that.
And you just can't. I just don't see Diop getting to that level anymore. He doesn't. He doesn't look like a leader. He's too inconsistent. So yeah, I think if we get a really good partner in beside Ogbonna, that will stand to us down the line.
Who would you look to get in, Tommy, as a centre back alongside? Is there anybody that springs to your mind?
Not really. I haven't really. It's not something I've actually looked into, or I haven't looked around.
Do you think Alves could be the one? Do you think that we could already have the guy at the club?
Possibly, but I've no idea. I mean, I haven't seen Alves, so he's untested at Premier League level. And we don't see him in training. Obviously, Moyes thinks there's something there because he's got him on the bench. But it'll be interesting to see. Dawson will be back now. Balbuena's card was rescinded, so we've got and Diop is there. So we've got a few centre backs now to choose from. So thanks, Russ. Do you know what I was going to say, Russ? Do you know what? You're not far off, Russ. Do you know what I would say, looking at this bloody screen of all us? It looks like a fucking holding pen for the Jeremy Kyle show.
City just scored.
City have just scored a fluke goal. That's why I reacted like that. A cross that's gone into the net.
Oh dear.
Who scored that?
So the question is, who is the father?
So basically,
Tommy, I feel like we're actually on a really bad episode of Celebrity Squares.
Yeah. But
I was thinking the Muppets.
Yeah.
No, it's De Bruyne. My bad.
Yeah. No, but the Alves thing is interesting, and it'll get interesting this week on Monday night, because Monday night, obviously, look, Oggie's going to start. I don't know if I don't know what formation we're going to play, obviously, so whether we're going to have 2 or 3 centre backs, but we will have available to us Ogbonna, Dawson, Balbuena, Diop, and Alves. So if Alves still makes the bench with everyone available, I mean, that will tell us then that, okay, Moyes really does rate this guy.
Yeah.
If he doesn't make the bench with everyone fit, then we'd have to wonder, if he's that far down the pecking order, he's obviously or Moyes at least feels that he's still a way off, from being properly.
We just got him at an awkward time where he hasn't got his cup run or anything like that. Next season will be the time for him.
Yeah, so the jury's out on Alves. We just have to wait and see, because I don't think.
But he's a Moyes signing. That's the thing. It's not like Cardozo, who came in under Pellegrini and we never seen him. I don't think Moyes would waste his time with someone he doesn't see fit for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just depends on where he sees him in the pecking order right now with everybody fit.
Yeah.
He obviously really likes Dawson, Clearly he really likes Dawson.
Yeah.
I would imagine Dawson would come right back into the team. Certainly Dawson is ahead of Balbuena and Diop, it would seem. So I think against Burnley, if we're playing 4 at the back, I think it will be Ogbonna and Dawson. Besides, I think Dawson is perfect for the Burnley game. Because we're going to be up against Chris Wood and Ashley Barnes, and they're very, very strong in the air. And our two best centre backs in the air are Ogbonna and Dawson. So, but if we're playing a 3, it'll be very interesting to see who the third is.
I could see Kufal.
Hasn't done it yet, so I don't think he'll start now. But we'll see. Because the reason being, Carl, is because I think if we're playing with wing backs, I think he'll probably start Fredericks at left wing back again. So that would mean Kofel will have to play at right wing back.
Yeah.
Miles.
So I sent. I forgot to send it to you, Gates. I sent it to Duke because when I saw it. Anderson. Us and Arsenal are favourites to sign Anderson in the summer. It was like last week. I saw it on a number of sources, and I think they said they want 20 to 25 million. But the way I see it is that's peanuts really if he stays for us for 6 or 7 years. And the one thing is what I don't think many people realise as well is as soon as he come in, he got Scott Parker gave him the captain's armband as well. So that means we've got another leader in the team, which we very much lack. And I think he would. I think he would be a great addition. And I do see Alves featuring more next year, if I'm honest.
I think sorry, Andy. Very interesting that, because if we do splash out 20 to 25 million on Anderson, I think it's almost certain we'll try to recoup as much of that as possible by selling Diop.
I agree, Tommy. Actually, because Anderson's parent club is a club in France. So we could potentially maybe even see
they're the same age as well. It's not like you could say, Diop's a young talent up for it. Same age, swap deal doesn't sound off the card for me.
Yeah, and that could be a potential. But no, another player. I know he has his injuries, and I think we could get him cheap as well. And if Newcastle do, I would love the sales at West Ham. I admire him. Even back in the day when he was at Forest, he's a fantastic centre half, and I think he would fit well in us because there's not really many centre halves with a bit of pace as well, and I could see him joining forces as well. And with Anderson and Ogbonna, I wouldn't be scared of going back to a back 4 with them two as your centre half. Instead, I think when a Diop or a Barberena plays, I think you need to have the 3 to cover them because they've got a mistake in them. So that's my say.
Actually, another centre back in the Premier League that I really, really like. Now, whether we could get him or not, I don't know. Money might be a bit tasty, but I really like Lewis Dunk at Brighton. I think he's a really, really good centre back. I think Lewis Dunk is underrated. I think he's good enough to play for England. I really do. I really like Lewis Dunk.
Fair enough. James, same to you.
Yeah, Anderson for me because he can play left, right, and centre. So he can play as a defensive midfielder as well. So we wouldn't need to go and splash out another midfielder if we got someone like Anderson in the team. And then my other centre back options. Hard to say really who I would go for, but I know Matvienko, who plays for Shakhtar Donetsk, can play a versatile defensive role. And he's actually a left back and goes to left wing back. So he'd be covered for Masuaku. Don't forget, Masuaku's now had knee surgery and picked up another injury. So Masuaku might be going down this downward spiral of injury. So we need to prepare for that. Another centre back option I will probably go for. Hard to say, really. This Milenkovic geezer seems all right. So yeah.
Where's he from, James? I'm not familiar with this fella.
He's from Lazio or Napoli or somewhere like that.
Oh, you're on about Maximovic?
Maximovic? No, Milenkovic. Nikola Milenkovic.
All right. Okay.
He's Serbian.
Fair enough.
If it's anything like Vidic was, we were in for a bloody solid hard-nut player.
Yeah, that'd be good if we could get Nemanja Vidic's clone. That'd be
2-1 City.
What's that?
2-1 Man City.
Oh,
Mahrez.
Is that away? Isn't it?
Yeah, that's a massive goal. 2 away goal. And a win. If it stays like that, 2 away goals and a win. I mean, geez, you've got 1 foot in the door, haven't you?
How long they got left?
About 20 minutes.
Oh, still time for it to go one way or the other, but we'll see. Final word to Duke.
Yeah, listen, I mean, I heard Andy just then say about is it Anderson, isn't it? And then and Diop. For me, listen. If we lose Balbuena, which looks more than likely to be the case, I'd like to see us try and. I know he's been there a while, and there's going to be people that want to see Diop gone. I'd like to give him another couple of years, personally. I know, the sell-on fee goes down as, if he doesn't have a couple of good seasons. But me, personally, Anderson in. You've got Alves there who, for all intents and purposes, from what I'm reading, what I'm hearing, is a bloody good player. Got an absolutely cracking future in front of him. So you know what? Oggie's not going to be around forever. Despite the fact that we know he's 34, so we know, like Tommy touched on, the Italians can play on for centre back seems to be forever and a day, to be fair. But I know, listen, if we can go out and get Anderson, was it 25 million? I think someone said. Then you know what? Keep Diop, because they're not being funny. If you develop both of those at that age, you get maybe 4 years out of them. 4 good bloody seasons. They develop into some cracking players. As much as we don't want to be a selling club, there's always, the money's there kind of thing, and we can develop. Who's literally got a Black & Decker on their desk that keeps bloody vibrating?
I thought it was someone's vibrator, but there you go.
I thought it was Andy's.
I thought Duke had put someone to sleep.
No, I keep Diop, sign Anderson. Not being funny. Diop, Anderson, Alves, Bonner, Dawson. That ain't bad, is it? That ain't a bad set of centre backs there. I just before we go, Gatesy, someone commented on the thing about West Ham being one-hit wonders this season, and how we'll bottle Europe and we won't do well. And then someone else on there mentioned if we sign Lingard, we're a shoo-in for top 4 next season. I disagree with one. I agree with another. I'll let you guys work it out in the chat as you go.
We're kind of somewhere in the middle, aren't we?
Yeah, you know what, Cal? That's a scary thing. But no,
Alves is also Danish. So Joachim Andersen and Alves, the little Norse code duo.
Winston Reed's kind of Danish as well, isn't he?
Yeah, he's half Danish. He grew up in Denmark.
Yeah. He's a beast.
Yeah,
I'll win it. Love him.
Sorry?
Yeah, I said he's a beast. I'll Winnie Reed. I think he's a beast. I love him.
Yeah.
Greatest in Denmark since Peter Schmeichel and Lego.
Fair enough.
I think Winston Reed was unbelievable when he was in his prime with us. There was one game, I think it was away at Man City. It was one of the best centre-back displays I've ever seen from West Ham player.
My favourite all-time players.
I was at his debut.
Yeah, just immense. Immense. I didn't think much when we signed him. He
was shite for a year or two.
Played for New Zealand at the World Cup, and then we signed him, and I thought, what the fuck are we signing a New Zealand centre-back for? I was like, this is ridiculous. And of course, he turned out to be a fantastic centre-back who was hugely important for us and just tremendously talented. And great player for us, Winston Reed. It's a pity, that he wasn't able to kind of grow old gracefully at West Ham, as it were, and things kind of went south for him with his injuries and stuff. But, who'll ever forget that last game at Upton Park? I mean, scoring the winner against Man United at the last game at Upton Park. I mean, Jesus, just legendary stuff.
Yeah. Not even just that goal, Tom, but the Millwall game at Upton Park.
Yeah. 2009.
That was it.
2012.
Even his bloody goal against Sunderland, I remember, to get us a draw against them. It was a 1-0 win or something.
He was
Talking
dangerous
of-
in the box and on set pieces. He was really dangerous. You know, he attacked every ball that came in. Yeah.
Talking of New Zealand, I know he's playing against us on Monday. For a backup striker next year, would any of you have Chris Wood at West Ham?
I've always liked him, but he's 29 now, so maybe not for.
He's
But
a proper
I
player.
wish we got him a few years back.
The
Chris
thing
Wood.
is, it probably would work in the Moyes system. Actually,
Yeah.
I think stylistically, he probably would work very well for Moyes.
No, I've had a thought. Do you know who West Ham should look at signing? Malik Wilkes from Hull.
Don't know him. To be
They're
honest.
League One,
Oh,
are
he's
they?
versatile as hell.
Not
Well,
sure who that
gentlemen,
is, but I will look.
He is versatile as
Gentlemen,
hell.
I'm gonna wrap it up there, gentlemen. We've been
Can
at
I-
it for
yeah.
over an hour and a
Hang on.
half.
Can I just for quick answers? Because this is always
Yep.
an interesting one for me. I like asking this question.
Oh,
Like you don't have to get into the details if you don't want to, because I know we're trying to get off air. But it's just a straight up versus, okay, former West Ham players, right? Berkovic or Benayoun?
Benayoun.
Berkovic.
I'm not old enough to remember.
Benayoun in his second spell or whatever he came, like 2013, because that's the only one I remember seeing.
Oh, Gundogan's just had his ankle shattered.
Whoa, what?
Red card to PSG.
Probably Kimpembe or something, was it?
No,
Yeah.
yeah.
Reckless.
Just a guy has been sent off.
Oh, just a gay.
Gundogan.
he was,
I'd go Berkovic myself.
I know
Yeah,
Berkovic was
Berkovic,
better.
yeah.
It's just I've only ever seen Benayoun.
Yes,
Listen, if there's anyone that can take a punt in the head from John Hartson, he gets my vote.
yeah, that was unbelievable. That, but yeah, but I mean, I think probably if you did a poll, Berkovic would win. But you know, Benayoun was a baller as well. I mean, just brilliant.
Oh,
player.
both outstanding players for their eras that they played in. They really were outstanding.
Kind of player we love at West Ham as well. You know, really silky
Who
players.
did Berkovic play for? Because I never heard of him until like the quizzes and all that he started coming up with.
Maccabi
Southampton.
Haifa, if I remember rightly.
He was on loan, I think, at Southampton before he came to us. But
Benayoun, you can see how good he was by the class of teams he's even gone to.
Oh, that challenge is bad. That's definitely a red.
Yeah.
Oh, that's bad.
Okay, I'm going to wrap it up there, guys. So thanks to all of you guys for joining us. Irish Tommy, Milesy, Cahill, James, obviously James Fever, who was here earlier, and West Ham Online.
Cheers, lads.
James, before we wrap it up, did you want to give your social media platforms a quick plug?
Yeah, so it's from the Anvil WHU on Twitter and Instagram, and the channel is from the Anvil West Ham United, as you can see in the title.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And just before we do wrap it up, guys, for those of you that know what's going on with young Isla, who is battling neuroblastoma, we at Fulsham Iron and the wider West Ham YouTube community would like to urge you to put any spare change into this particular bucket. PayPal and Just Giving links are there in front of you. Yeah. There is no donation that is too small. This family are battling to get this young girl the treatment that she needs to save her life, and that's the brass tacks of it. So whatever you can put into this particular pot from £1 upwards will be much, much appreciated. And whether you can or can't donate, we would ask you to take this information, put it onto all your social media platforms, send it to on WhatsApp to all your friends, your family, work colleagues, and all the rest of it. Because, guys, we need to keep this momentum going. I'm going to say it every single time until this young girl is right and safe. You know, she needs this help like yesterday. So we got to keep this momentum going, guys. Thank you very much. Do the right thing. So, gentlemen, thanks for joining us. It's been emotional. One thing left to say, Milesy.
We are fucking massive.
Correct.
And the rest of us will say, come on, you Irons.
Come on, you Irons.
Come on, you Irons.